Hello everyone, welcome to Box Office Receipts. I'm your host Tyler Callahan, and we got a good amount of news to go over. DreamWorks Animation released The Wild Robot. We have Sony Pictures CEO stepping down. DirecTV looks to be buying Dish, streaming updates, and more. So let's start with the domestic top 5. So for the domestic box office, I know I just said it was a top 5. We'll actually be doing the top 6, and there will be a reason for that. Based on the last few episodes, you might already have an idea why, but we'll get to it. The Wild Robot opened in first place with $35 million. Dropping to second place was Beetlejuice with $16 million for a total of $250.1 million. In third place was Transformers 1 with $9.3 million for a total of $39.1 million. Fourth place was Devour Part 1, which opened to $5.6 million. In fifth place was Speak of No Evil with $4.3 million. For a total now of $28.1 million. And opening in sixth place was Megalopolis with $4 million. So yes, Megalopolis being distributed by Lionsgate, opening with $4 million. So DreamWorks Animation and Universal had a fantastic weekend thanks to the great opening for The Wild Robot, and it's expected to have a great run at the box office with great reviews and an A cinema score. This could also potentially be the start of a new franchise for DreamWorks. This also basically caused the end of Paramount's hopes that Transformers 1 would leg it out at the box office. With already a low opening weekend, it has dropped 62% in its second weekend, which is not good. And for families, all the focus now is on The Wild Robot. I don't see a comeback for this film. Beetlejuice continues to kill it, passing $250 million domestically. As for Megalopolis, it was panned by the audience, getting a D+ cinema score, and is already a bomb at the box office. However, for Lionsgate, while this continues their string of bombs, technically, this one won't hurt them as much. This is because this was just a distribution deal for them and they did not produce or finance the movie. So depending on how that deal was structured, the losses for them could be minimal. Again, the budget for this movie was, I believe, around $100 million. So yes, on paper, this is a massive bomb. But Lionsgate is only on the hook for distribution, and I think they maybe paid $10-20 million for it, maybe less. So again, not a big loss for them. Like Borderlands would be a bigger loss for them. That bomb back in August. In China, Transformers 1 opened to $4.9 million, coming in first place, and with previews is now at $8.1 million. Second place was Like a Rolling Stone with $2.1 million for a total of $15.9 million. Third place was Stand By Me with another $1.8 million for a total of $33.4 million. In fourth place was Alien Romulus, which jumped back into the top 5. It earned $1.1 million for a total now of $111.7 million. And in fifth place was Go for Broke with $1 million for a total of $66.1 million. Internationally, The Wild Robot earned another $9.9 million for a worldwide total of $53.1 million. Transformers 1 made $16.6 million for a worldwide total of $72 million. Devour Part 1 made $27.8 million for a worldwide total now of $32.9 million. Beetlejuice made $13.6 million for a worldwide total of $373.3 million. And Speak No Evil is now at $57.7 million worldwide. Switching over to news in Hollywood, we got some release dates. Deadline got the exclusive on this, and that is Amazon MGM Studios is pushing back Nickel Boys a bit. It will have a platform to release, so it's going to gradually roll out. It will open in New York City on December 13th and in Los Angeles on December 20th. From Paramount, they announced a few changes. Their upcoming movie, September 5, will have a limited release on November 29th before expanding on December 13th. For next year, the Running Man reboot from Edgar Wright will come out November 21st, so it will open up against Wicked Part 2. Also for next year, their horror movie Vicious is being moved up from August 8th to February 28th. They are pushing back their animated Smurfs musical to July 18th, and pushing back the Naked Gun reboot from the 18th to August 1st. Paramount and Sky Glass also announced when Scream 7 will be coming out, which will be February 27th, 2026. Leica Studios is bringing Coraline back to theaters for Halloween for anyone who missed out on seeing it during its re-release in August. Along with that, anyone who goes will see a sneak peek of their upcoming film, Wildwood. It was announced that Sony Pictures CEO Tony Vinciquerra is stepping down at the beginning of 2025, with Ravi Urja assuming the role on January 2nd. Vince Guerra has been CEO of Sony Pictures since June 2017. With his tenure ending, I'd say the most lasting impact from his reign is not going all in on streaming. Toward the end of the 2010s, as all the studios were diving into streaming, making their own personal streaming services, you got Disney Plus, you got Peacock, Paramount Plus, Sony stayed put and instead only focused on a specific market for streaming, anime. Initially, they bought Funimation as a way to, in general, build up their footprint in anime, and then grew it by buying Crunchyroll back in 2021. Now, since merging the two, they have become the dominant streaming platform for anime and have increased releasing anime films in theaters as well. So right now, as we wait to see what happens to streaming services like Peacock and Paramount Plus, for example, as in will they continue to grow or merge with another streamer and their parent companies focus on having them turn a profit, Sony can just sit back and relax on that issue. Casting updates, we just talked about The Running Man, and we learned that Katie O'Brien will be joining the cast led by Glenn Powell. Daniel Day-Lewis is coming out of retirement from acting to star in his son's film Anamore over at Focus Features and Plan B. Both Daniel Day-Lewis and his son Ronan Day-Lewis wrote the script for the film. As for distribution, Focus Features will handle that domestically, while Universal will handle international distribution. Day-Lewis went into retirement from acting after Phantom Thread came out back in 2017. Deadline broke the news on a few of these casting updates at Sony. For their upcoming Anaconda film, Daniela Melancourt is set to join the cast, with it already including Paul Rudd and Jack Black. And they report that Halle Berry is in talks to join the upcoming thriller Crime 101, which stars Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, and Barry Keoghan. Kristen Dunst is signing on to join Channing Tatum in the true crime film Roofman, with Deadline also reporting that Miramax is getting domestic and international rights to the film. This means that Paramount will distribute in the United States and Film Nation Entertainment handles international sales. Mubi has made a deal with Fremantle to get distribution rights to Queer in multiple territories, including the UK, Ireland, Germany, Spain, India, and Latin America, among others. No word on when they will release it theatrically in those territories. Lionsgate has started to offer U.S. employees voluntary severance and early retirement options as they look to cut down on the number of employees they have. No word on whether they will do a layoff if enough people do not take them up on their offer, but Deadline reports that this is not related to their recent string of box office bombs and has been in the works for a while. Disney, however, is doing some layoffs, with 75 people being laid off at ABC and their local station operations. This is the second round of layoffs, as we talked about in the last episode, where around 300 employees were also laid off. Hopefully all those affected land on their feet as soon as possible. We got an early look at the film and TV charity's newest Looking Glass survey, which takes a look at the working conditions in the UK. They report 35% of respondents say they have either poor or very poor mental health, which is a big increase from when the study was last done in 2022, where it was at 24%. The full report comes out in 2025. For films in development, Deadline broke the news on all of these, so let's get to it. On who will be directing Princess Diaries 3, they report that Adele Lim is set to direct for Disney. She recently directed the comedy Joyride over at Lionsgate and was a writer on the Disney animated film Raya and the Last Dragon. They report that Sean Tretta is set to write the screenplay for The Creature from the Black Lagoon reboot over at Atomic Monster and Universal. James Wan will be a producer and might also possibly direct as well. As for new films, Deadline reports that DC Studios and Warner Brothers Animation is teaming up to produce Dynamic Duo, which will be about the early days of Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. They will be working with animation studio Swaybox to make the film. And over at Paramount, they are looking at doing a Rugrats adaptation, with Deadline reporting they are working on a live-action CGI film with Jason Moore set to direct. I have no idea how that is going to go, but okay. It looks like Magazine Dreams will see the light of day, with Deadline breaking the news that Barcliff Entertainment have bought the domestic rights to the film and plan to release it in theaters in early 2025. This was the Jonathan Majors film that Searchlight bought at Sundance and has since not been seen due to Majors being arrested for assault, for which he was found guilty and convicted. I really don't see this making anything at the box office. Sadly, there were quite a few deaths this week. Chris Christopherson died at the age of 88. The famous country singer was also an actor, winning a Golden Globe for his performance in A Star is Born, which came out back in 1976. Ken Page died at the age of 70, most known for his work on Broadway. He was also an actor and as a voice actor, most known for his role as Oogie Boogie in The Nightmare Before Christmas. John Amos died at the age of 84 due to congestive heart failure. He was an actor that starred in shows and films including Roots, Good Times, All in the Family, and Coming to America, among others. His final role will be an appearance in the upcoming series Suits LA. Kaylin Gorman died at the age of 59 after battling breast cancer. She was a producer who worked on behind-the-scenes content for shows including Glee, Homeland, and Feud, among others. Robert Watts died at the age of 86. He was a producer and as an associate producer, worked on The Empire Strikes Back and Raiders of the Lost Ark. He also worked as a producer on Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, among others. Bob Yerkes died at 92 years old. He was a stuntman who worked on Return of the Jedi, Airport, Batman Forever, and Back to the Future, among others. In this career, he was a double for actors including Robert Duvall, Paul Newman, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Frank Fritz died at 60 years old. He was most known for his role as a co-host of reality TV series American Pickers. Ron Hale died at the age of 78. He was an actor most known for his role as Dr. Roger Coleridge on the soap opera Ryan's Hope, where he appeared in over 900 episodes. He also appeared in General Hospital for 15 years after his time on Ryan's Hope. Alan Bly has died at the age of 87. He was a writer who worked on quite a few shows, including The Andy Williams Show, That's My Mama, and The Ray Stevens Show, among others. He also won an Emmy for writing for the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour in 1969. Sam Stranges died at the age of 95 due to kidney failure. He was a producer, director, and production manager. As head of production at Paramount, he saw over shows including The Brady Bunch and Happy Days, and he was also a producer for CSI and CSI Miami. And Michel Blanc died at the age of 72 due to a heart attack. He was a French actor who starred in numerous films and is most known for his role in the comedy film franchise Les Bronze. Thoughts and prayers go out to their families during this time, and may they rest in peace. And as always, fuck cancer. We got a few trailers this week. From Paramount, we got a teaser for Better Man, which is the musical biopic of singer Robbie Williams. Now, one thing different compared to other biopics is that Williams is portrayed as a CGI monkey. Not sure how this is going to turn out, but it has made me more interested in watching it. It comes out in select theaters on December 25th with a wide release on January 17th. Focus Features released a second trailer for Nosferatu, which comes out December 25th. A24 released the first trailer for Baby Girl, which is an erotic thriller starring Nicole Kidman and Harris Dickinson. It also comes out December 25th. Warner Brothers released two new trailers. First, we got the trailer for Juror Number 2, which will have a limited release on November 1st. The second is for a thriller film called Companion, which comes from New Line Cinema. That comes out January 31st. We start off VOD Premium with a potential merger, as DirecTV is set to buy Dish Network from EchoStar for $1. You heard that right, $1. However, while the purchase price is $1, the deal includes DirecTV taking on Dish Network's debt, which is at $9.75 billion. As for what is included with Dish Network, well, you have the satellite TV service, Dish TV, but also Sling TV as well. Both companies expect the deal to close in the fourth quarter of 2025, assuming it passes any possible regulatory issues, which could happen, as basically while a dwindling business, right, the business they're in is shrinking, this will also only become the only satellite TV company in the country. If it is approved, together they will combine to have around 18 million customers. Also, along with this, it was also announced that AT&T will sell its 70% stake in DirecTV to private equity firm TPG for $7.6 billion. Disney announced some great numbers for Inside Out 2's premiere on Disney Plus, with the film getting 30.5 million views in its first 5 days. This makes it the biggest debut for a theatrical film on Disney Plus since 2021 with Encanto. And they also broke it down by region, where in Europe, Latin America, and the Middle East and Africa, this was the biggest debut on the streamer ever, period. I mean, look, this isn't too much of a surprise, as it looks like as of now it will be the biggest film of the year at the box office. So, biggest film at the box office for the year, having a big debut on streaming. Who could have saw that coming? Apple TV Plus has renewed Sugar for a second season. The series, starring Colin Farrell, debuted back in April. I'm glad to hear this, as it was pretty good and was wondering why it was taking a while to make a decision. it's possible they had to wait to see if they could fit another season of filming in Farrell's schedule. In exclusive from Deadline, they report that Wolves has already become the most viewed movie on Apple TV+. That's with it being out for less than a week now. No numbers were released, but still, the fact that it's the most watched movie in less than a week, it does say something. Because even take out films like Napoleon, you still had other more general audience films like The Family Plan from last year that I think got solid views. I guess the question now is, will that sequel ever get made? We got news from MGM Plus, which we don't get much of these days, and that is they have renewed Billy the Kid for a third and final season. Amazon says that the second season of The Rings of Power has reached 55 million global viewers since its launch at the end of August. Prime Video is moving forward with the Reacher spinoff, giving it a series order. The series will be focused on Neely, with Maria Sten coming back to reprise her role. Deadline broke the news that Big Talk Studios is trying to get a UK version of Cheers. This was a classic TV show that aired on NBC back in the 80s. Simon Nye is working on it, and if the show is greenlit, would be the showrunner. Charter has acquired another streaming service for their customers, having reached a deal with NBC Universal. It's similar to other deals they have made recently, so soon Peacock Premium ad tier will be available for Spectrum TV Select customers at no extra cost. Also, at some point in the future, Charter will allow customers to upgrade to the ad-free tier if they want to. Also, at Peacock, we got a casting update for the upcoming thriller series starring Simu Liu, with Masila Barrera, Sinclair Daniel, and Brian D'Arcy James joining the cast. For Warner Brothers Discovery, Warner Brothers The Studio announced that Beetlejuice will be available on PVOD starting October 8th to either buy or rent. That makes it only a 33-day theatrical exclusive, which seems a bit short, but I think part of the reason for this is that they want to cash in on the Halloween season. Deadline broke the news that industry co-creators Mickey Brown and Conrad Kay have signed a new 3-year deal with HBO as their current deal is set to expire at the end of the year. They also broke the news on a new comedy in development, which is a remake of the British comedy Back. The remake is not greenlit just yet, with Simon Blackwell working on it. The Penguin also seemed to continue to do well, with Warner Brothers Discovery reporting that it got 1.6 million viewers for the premiere of its second episode, which they say is a 17% increase from its series premiere. Now, in the last episode, we talked about how the first episode got 5.3 million viewers, but that was across the first 4 days. So it does seem like it is gaining momentum. Paramount and Nielsen are in a dispute, with the contract between the two expiring. Paramount is not happy with Nielsen, specifically with the increasing cost it takes to keep using it. With Variety reporting, it is hundreds of millions of dollars per year. Nielsen, on the other hand, thinks it is a great value with the service they provide. So for us, while we only really care about the viewership numbers, for Paramount and others, those numbers that Nielsen provide are very important because that is what they tell advertisers to convince them to spend their ad money with them. For now, Paramount will use Video AMP, or Video AMP, however you want to call it, to track who is watching their content. And we wrap up with Netflix. So let's start with the top 10 for the week of September 23rd to the 29th. For English films, Rebel Ridge came in first place with 8.9 million views. In second place was Uglies with 8.7 million views. And in third place was Jailbreak Love on the Run with 7.6 million views. For English TV shows, Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story came in first place again, increasing its viewership, with it getting 19.5 million views. In second place was the first season of Nobody Wants This with 10.3 million views. And in third place was The Perfect Couple with 6 million views. Netflix has canceled the 90s show after 2 seasons, though the show will be shopped around, so it might find a new home. Deadline broke the news that Kurt Sutter is leaving his show The Abandoned right before production on the first season ends. As for why, it's being reported due to creative differences, and the show also might possibly be going a bit over budget as well. So even if this show does get renewed for a second season, they will have to find a new showrunner. They also broke the news on some casting updates, with Jason Clarke joining the upcoming Catherine Bigelow film, and Tanya Taylor and Sasha Calle joining the crime thriller Rip, which stars Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. At the Busan International Film Festival, Netflix showed off some of their upcoming Korean films. These include a disaster film called The Great Flood and a thriller called Revelations. The streamer released a few photos of the upcoming Peaky Blinders film as production has started. Olivia Rodrigo is heading to Netflix with a concert film of her Guts World Tour, being available to stream starting October 29th. And finally, Netflix released a full trailer for Emilia Perez, with it coming to select theaters on November 1st in the US and Canada, and then available to stream starting November 13th. That is it for this episode of Box Office Receipts. Just a heads up, I will have an announcement to make regarding the podcast in the next episode. Until then, if you want to follow me on Blue Sky, Threads, or Instagram, links to those are in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.